Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been, over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to be back with you here on this Friday edition of the show. I'm Craig Mish. Lots to get to here on today's program as we break down the very latest in the National Basketball Association. Some incredible finals to discuss with you last night. Also the latest in Major League Baseball, Stanley Cup playoffs as well. And we'll get to all the latest in sports betting news. Always, we have a guest contributor from Legal Sports Report here on the show as well. Stick with us here throughout the show because, again, the Kentucky Oaks is set to go off here in a couple of hours, so we'll have a preview of that race and also the Kentucky Derby tomorrow with our guest contributor from Daily Racing Form. We also have some special programming coming up tomorrow as well here on SportsGrid. So let's get started here with this edition of NewsWire, and let's start off as we seemingly have here for the last few days with this update on the latest in prediction markets as it pertains to sports. Remember, these are not specifically sports betting companies, but they're trying to operate in the same space, essentially by not paying taxes and still getting people to use their websites. Well, in this case, it is Crypto.com, who was issued a cease and desist in Maryland and are fighting back, saying that they should be able to operate in the state. Very similar lawsuit was recently filed by Kalshi. Both companies are saying that contracts fall in the jurisdiction of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, and not state regulators. And this is a story that we've been following throughout the country. A lot of these different companies have been told that they can operate in specific states. Nevada, Las Vegas, one of the places that they can. Maryland, not so much. It's a state-by-state regulation. We'll follow it for you as we continue throughout the rest of the spring and then into the summer. In the National Basketball Association, the NBA is certainly hoping for as many Game 7s as they possibly can. At this point, I don't think we're going to get very many, but it does appear as though this is going to be a good one coming up because the Clippers beat the Nuggets last night, 111-105. Line was 5.5 or 6, depending on where you got it. But here's the bottom line. The series is now tied at 3. They will play a Game 7 weekend. Kawhi Leonard had a game-high 27 points and also had 10 assists in this one. Nikola Jokic, 25 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. Not much can really be said at this point. These teams have played dead even pretty much through 6 games. So let's hear from Ty Lue, who's excited about the opportunity to get to a Game 7 and happy with the performance that he just saw last night.
That they were positive. They were positive and understood that, the series could have been 3-2 our way easily, and so just staying the course. They're a really good team. They have 5 starters, 4 of the starters returning, been there for like 4 or 5 years. They won a championship, and they know how to play. And so, coming out at, Game 5 at their place, they were really aggressive. I thought Joker really led the charge with Jamal Murray, stepped up and having 43. But I thought early on Joker was aggressive. Then that opened everything up for Jamal Murray. And so we just got to stay the course. Game 7 is going to be tough, but we're ready for the challenge.
Be the difference in the game.
Yeah, we got sped up. It reminded me of Game 3 a little bit. They got into us, thought we crossed half court, not being organized. When you do that, turnovers are going to follow. And, the 14 for 23, it's been the story of the series. If you don't take care of it, you lose, bottom line. And when you don't take care of it, a lot of times it's just spacing, and we're not organized where we need to be. Again, they picked up full. They changed the game. And I also thought in the third quarter, we played good defense. We never, ever came up with a 50-50 ball. And that's just such a back-breaking feeling when you do everything right and don't come up with the ball. So we gave them a lot of extra possessions. That quarter absolutely killed us. I thought the rest of the game was very even. We played a really, really good fourth quarter with a lot of effort. But we got to be better throughout the whole game.
It's been decades since the Detroit Pistons played at home in the NBA playoffs and won a game. They're going to have to wait another year, and they have Jalen Brunson to thank for that. Another huge game and a big shot at the end of the game as the Knicks take care of the Pistons 116-113 in the closing seconds. Brunson with 40 points and 7 assists, very clearly the most valuable player in the first couple of weeks of the NBA playoffs. By the way, the Knicks were up 12 in the fourth quarter, but the Pistons went on a run to go up by 7. Prior to tonight, the Knicks were 0-47 when trailing by 7 points. And they came back to win this one. They'll take on the Boston Celtics in round 2. Here's Brunson on the win.
Yeah, it's all about us staying poised and having that composure. Obviously, we want to have it throughout the game, but it's most important at the end. We all have each other's backs, and we all know what we want to do. And I'm just thankful for my teammates and coaches for real.
In the immediate aftermath, what emotions are you feeling, and what will stick with you from this series?
The immediate one is disappointment. We felt good about this series, so to not pull it out hurts. But that feeling will stick with us throughout the summer. My dog. That feeling will stick with us throughout the summer and our workouts and conversations and everything. We'll be back and better.
Okay, team was up 7, obviously late. What was tough with the Knicks down the stretch that made it difficult to close this one out?
They made a couple tough shots, along with gave them some second chances. That was, not just not coming up with the ball. And then, we missed some shots. So all of those things allowed them to get back in it. And then obviously a big shot there.
In the National Hockey League, the Edmonton Oilers win their series 4-2. They take care of the Kings and put up offense in a big way yesterday. 6-4 the final in this one. Needless to say, Connor McDavid was huge. 1 goal, 1 assist, but got contributions from everybody on the team. Here's McDavid on the offensive showing.
Well, yeah, we got offense from all over the lineup today. It's great. You need that. You need different guys stepping up. I thought Brownie had his best game as an Oiler maybe today. He was fantastic. Picks, obviously, go down the list. We had guys step up. I'm sure guys have already said, it wasn't our best, but found a way tonight. And that's what good teams do.
Does this kind of stem from the stretch when a lot of those guys were taking on more minutes and more responsibility, and now that's kind of carried over into the postseason for them?
Yeah, sure. Brownie's confident, obviously. A lot of guys have confidence. You need that at this time of year. You need everybody feeling good about themselves, and everybody should. We had different guys step up at different times throughout the series, and everybody should feel good and proud of that and ready to carry that into another tough opponent.
Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars are headed to a 7-game series. It's now tied at 3. Avs force a Game 7. Colorado scored all 4 goals in the third period, 4-0 the final. Meanwhile, with that game going to a Game 7 finale, let's get to the very latest with the Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. The Knights win the series 4-2. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone each had a goal and an assist. And the Knights certainly are on their way to another deep run in the playoffs. They've been used to this for years. And how about the Toronto Maple Leafs finally getting a win and getting a playoff victory in a series? Feels like it's been forever. The Maple Leafs beat the Senators 4-2, and they win the series 4-2. Jack Eichel, Mark Stone each had a goal and an assist. All right, now let's get to the latest in Major League Baseball. Unfortunately for Mike Trout, it's something that we have heard far too often over the last few years. Injured list with a bone bruise in his knee. He's hitting just 179 on the season. He does have 9 home runs. Trout heads to the injured list officially today. The Cubs take care of Paul Skeens and company. How about this? 3 home runs in the game yesterday off Paul Skeens. You don't see that very often. And Juan Soto hits his first home runs at Citi Field with the Mets, but the Diamondbacks win by a final of 4-2. Soto certainly had not had the very best start for the Mets, but he certainly has picked it up. And also the New York Yankees announced this morning that Jazz Chisholm Jr. is headed to the injured list as well with an oblique strain. Let's take a quick time out here on the show. Jazz said he wasn't going on the IL, Frank. I've heard that before. We'll take a quick time out. Coming up next, Matt Lutovsky will join us from Sporting News. We'll get to the latest in Major League Baseball. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. Kentucky Derby is tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll have a preview. Don't go away.
Cosmo was supposed to fight Ciaran Clark, but he had to pull off injury. You get the call. You get to go in there. What was it like for you when you got that call, jumping in there and be part of this bantamweight tournament on short notice?
Terrifying, man. 2 weeks notice against a stud, but I've been preparing my whole life for it, and I couldn't say no to the opportunity, and saw what happened. I came in there and kind of shocked the world. Not kind of, I did.
Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. Now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did Ames. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there. A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's chop up some Major League Baseball ahead of a big weekend again with Matt Lutovsky. He joins us courtesy of Sporting News. Matt, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Great to see you as well. All right, good to be focusing on some positive news every once in a while here on our show. So let's take a look at the positive in Major League Baseball. We have 3 teams right now, 1 that's not a surprise, and 2 that are a surprise. The Mets are off to a great start, 21-11. The Giants, a shocking start, 19-13. And I got to tell you, this is kind of crazy to say. This was my pick in the American League to go to the World Series. Call me crazy. We have the audio and video to prove it. The Tigers are 20-12. So The Mets, I mean, come on, let's not get too excited here, Matt. I mean, they spent all this money. They should be this good. But what have the Giants done well in your mind to get to this point? And very specifically, is this Tigers rotation as good as advertised? 1 month of the season. I want to see where they are 3-4 months in.
Yeah, well, I think with the Giants, it just kind of comes down to pitching, and they're probably getting a little more hitting than a lot of people thought they might. And when you put those two things together, I think I was on your show, and we were going through the divisions and in spring training, and we both sort of circled the Giants as a team where if things come together, maybe a wild card push, but we weren't necessarily that bullish on them, but. It has kind of come together, at least for the first month and change of the season here, and the pitching's been great. They play solid defense, and they're just kind of getting the hitting as they need it. And when you look at it overall, I think the pitching's good enough, as we put the caveat, as we do with everything. If they stay healthy, I think this is a team that can kind of continue where they're at. They're obviously in a division where it's going to be exceedingly difficult to challenge for a division title, but a postseason run is certainly in the cards if they just kind of keep doing what they're doing. And with the Tigers, yeah, it starts with the pitching there too. And I do think that rotation is good enough. That was something when you looked at it in spring training, you thought, well, they have the best pitcher or best starter maybe in all of baseball, and they have some good additions who are going to help too throughout the entire pitching staff. So I think they're there. I think that with the AL Central not being all that strong, I think that this is a team that can continue to stack wins because they're getting just enough hitting. They're, again, somewhat similar to the Giants. I think they're a little better, maybe a little more consistent with the bats, and a team that you look at as a team that can be there, all the way through the end, or in your case, really all the way through the end. We'll see if they can go that far, but there's certainly a solid team that I expect that they have all the ingredients to make a deep postseason run.
Yeah, I would agree. And, Casey Mize was a couple of years ago thought to be that guy, was going to front the rotation. Statistically, he could front any rotation right now in baseball. And he's now the 3 or the 4 or the 5 starter, depending on how you look at it in Detroit. So I think that's a fair point, Matt. On the flip side, we're not going to talk about the Rockies' slow start because we know it's not just slow. They're going to lose 100 plus. There's no point. But let's look at 3 teams that had postseason aspirations. And I'm going to ask you, Matt, have you changed your opinion at all on any of these? I have not on the Braves. I do think the Braves are going to be there in the end. And they did have a horrible start, but I think they've fixed themselves. Do have concerns with the Orioles. I think everybody else does too because of the pitching. Texas yesterday made a pretty bold move, sending Jake Berger down, who, certainly they traded for this offseason, thought he'd hit 30 home runs. Right now, he'll have to do that in the minors. So I have some concerns on the Rangers too. But I suppose, Matt, when you look at that and you see the way that the Orioles are trending, something evasive is going to have to happen here soon. Unfortunately, it may end up being the manager. I don't think it's Brandon Hyde's fault, but I mean, they've got to change something there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And they're just kind of bad in every way. And some of it you just look at, well, a couple of the offensive stars, a couple guys, everyone just penciled in to have solid seasons, if not great seasons, aren't hitting. Is that going to continue? Probably not. They'll turn around. But the pitching has just been terrible. The defense has been terrible, and there just isn't anything going well in those two aspects of the game, and that's pretty important. And when you throw in disappointing hitting on top of that, you're going to have a team that's struggling as much as they are, and it's going to take a really big turnaround for them, I think, to get back in contention and really have a shot to make any noise. So yeah, that team, like you said, I'm worried about. The other two, the Rangers, actually, when you look at the underlying numbers, they're very good. I mean, the pitching has been fantastic. There's another big asterisk if they stay healthy, but it's been really good. The hitting's been a little disappointing, but as they always say, right, that heats up as the weather heats up in Texas. So I think they'll be fine. I think it's just one of those mental things when you look at the AL West standings and you see them in 4th place and you think, oh, this is, well, okay, they're in that group as it is always this time of year. That's within 3 games of each other. You have a couple really good teams, a couple really bad, and then just a big group in the middle. So I think they're going to continue to play better and eventually break out there, and they're going to be right there in the end too, like most people predicted at the beginning of the season. The Braves are a little tougher. They obviously have had the injury bug early again. I think they've been disappointed in a few ways that they didn't expect. But you can reasonably look at a lot of their players who maybe have struggled early in the year and say, well, this guy's obviously going to be better, whether it's looking at the underlying numbers or just knowing the talent they have. And like you said, I think it's going to start coming together a little bit more. And if guys can get healthy, I think they're going to be there in the end too, but definitely not the start they wanted, coming in with a lot of high expectations and a lot of high hopes.
Yeah, I think all that is fair. Braves could be an aggressive team. They always seem to be come trade deadline too, so they'll get some help. Okay, so we'll need some help here. Is there anyone that potentially could jump over Aaron Judge to win the MVP? I'm shocked that FanDuel could have anyone this big a favorite to win this early in the season. So much happened between now and the end. Judge is having a career start, hitting over 400 with 10 home runs, but he's minus 600, Matt, to win the MVP. And the guys from last year, right back there again, Witt and Henderson, Trout on the IL. We can scratch him off for now. I mean, Wyatt Langford, and Bregman's off to a great start with Boston here, but I don't know. Can you make a case to throw a dart?
I mean, it's tough to make that case, right? I mean, he's so good. He's so far ahead of everyone else. But like you said, just in the case of injury, would you take a shot at Witt? I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to do that. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm not going to put my money on it at this point. We're just going to just watch Aaron Judge do what he does.
Yeah, that's the way it's been, Matt. Have a great weekend. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Kentucky Oaks coming up later today. Gino Picola will preview that and the Derby tomorrow from Daily Racing Point.
Cosmo was supposed to fight Ciaran Clark, but he had to pull off injury. You get the call. You get to go in there. What was it like for you when you got that call, jumping in there and be part of this bantamweight tournament on short notice?
Terrifying, man. 2 weeks notice against a stud, but I've been preparing for my whole life for it, and I couldn't say no to the opportunity, and saw what happened. I came in there and kind of shocked the world. Not kind of, I did.
Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did Ames. You did Dr. J Dames.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It is the biggest weekend in horse racing, and we're thrilled to have so much great programming coming for you. Gino Picola, a big part of that here on SportsGrid this weekend today, later this afternoon, and then tomorrow morning for a big preview of the Kentucky Derby. But we got the Oaks to get through here first, so we'll have a preview of that and talk about some potential odds and horses that maybe you can get in a trifecta, exacta, or maybe just straight up to win. Gino is with us now. Gino, thanks for making some time with us here on SportsGrid. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem, Craig. I needed something to take my mind off not a great end of the season for my Lakers. So it's great. It's good that I had a lot of horse racing this week to really focus on. And we've got a big day today and then an even bigger day tomorrow if you're a horse racing fan. The one place you want to go if you're going to be looking at the races the next couple days, shop.drf.com. That's the place. Like if you've been at the track and you see those big newspapers, that's the daily racing forum. That's what we are. We're the place that gives you all the best data, all the information that you need before you play the races. So you want to go ahead there. You can get everything you need. We have Kentucky Derby packages, all sorts of different tools that can help you play the races this weekend. I'm going to do my best to try to lead you to a couple winners. We'll see if we can get you one today before the Kentucky Oaks. I had a play for you today, one that I like on the undercard. That's the great thing about these days. Not only is it one big race like the Kentucky Oaks or the Kentucky Derby, sort of like a track meet where you'll have like the top tier of horses in all these different divisions. Horses that run short on the dirt, long on the dirt, long on the grass, short on the grass. So you'll kind of see the best of them meet in a lot of the races that lead you up to the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby. One of those races is going to be today. It's going to go as race number 8. And a horse we like in there is the number 2 named Gimme Another. This is a horse who actually came in from South Africa and was off for almost a year and made their first start of the year back in March. So like I think once you've raced one time after a long, long layoff, once you start racing a few other times, you build that fitness level up. This is a horse who I think we can get some money made on today. 7-2 odds, Craig. So like 3.5 to 1. Hopefully we can build a little bankroll before the big race. That's going to be the 11th race today is the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, and Gino, look, I think that all the emphasis is on the Kentucky Derby for tomorrow. We understand that. Naturally, you have the Triple Crown, the Breeders' Cup, Pegasus. There are a lot of big races across the country, but I mean, the Oaks is certainly within the top 10. Is there a horse you like in this one today?
Yeah, 1.5 million up for grabs. Let's go to the 6, Ballerina d'Oro. There's a lot of speed in the race, Craig. This is a horse who's going to be dropping back. Don't be worried if you see Ballerina d'Oro towards the back of the pack early on. That's her running style. You see in the projector there, they have her way towards the back because it's going to be a fast early pace. So faster they go early, the better it's going to set up. She's 10 to 1 on the morning line. So only a few bucks on her could get us a nice return.
All right, now let's move on to the races tomorrow. We got about a minute to go here. 5th race, you have a horse, the 6th, and then let's get to the Derby.
Yeah, we got the 5th race, the number 8, Poolside with Slim. That horse is 8 to 1 for all you Slim Shady fans. And then in the next race, the 6, Built, one of the horses I like the most all weekend long. He's 7 to 2, so that's 3.5 to 1. But if we focus on the Derby, we actually got some more unfortunate news this morning that the number 10, Grande, who was my top pick, is going to be scratched. So unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to kind of call an audible for who I was going to have on top. But obviously we want what's best and safest for the horses. So glad they found out there was a small issue before they had to worry about him running tomorrow. But I think the horse to beat is Journalism. He's worth mentioning because he has been like head and shoulders the horse that stand out above everybody so far. He's run the fastest speed figures. He's the one you're going to hear him talking about most probably on the broadcast. That's the number 8, Journalism. He's about 3 to 1 or so. He'll probably end up somewhere in that range. I think that's fair for him. But with the Derby, there's so many big prices. We're always looking for other fun horses that might be bigger prices to include. So now for me, without Grande, some of those horses would be the number 7, Luxor Cafe, who comes in from Japan, Craig. And so we don't know a whole lot about some of these horses. He's 15 to 1 on the morning line. He's a total wild card. So I think he's intriguing. I want to use him in some spots. I'll also throw in the number 12, East Avenue. He's one of the fastest horses in the race. So I know at least he's going to be early, towards the front early on, and he should be one of those horses, if you're betting like an exacta or a trifecta, he should be able to show some early speed and maybe hang around. I'd throw one more in for you, Craig. That would be Sovereignty. That's the number 18. So we're looking at 7, 12, and 18 as horses we could use along with the number 8, Journalism. Like anything, right? What was Peyton Manning calling audibles a lot of the time when you're up there and things change? Got to do the same thing in horse racing here too. So hopefully we're able to get you to a winner. I'll be back a few times today, a couple times tomorrow. And for anything else you need, shop.drf.com, or you can check out the Daily Racing Forums YouTube channel, a bunch of race previews, and we give you all the help. If maybe you're not the most hardcore racing fan, we'll help you get ready for a big couple days.
Yeah, can't wait, Rob. And I'll be catching you tomorrow morning too, right here on SportsGrid. Thanks again for coming on.
Anytime, Craig. Good luck, everyone.
We'll be right back.
think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Garth, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Sam McQuillan is with us, of course, from LegalSportsReport.com. You should read all of their columns, by the way, and news updates on everything going on in sports betting. It's great to have Sam back here on this Friday edition of the show. Sam, great to have you back here on NewsWire. We got news earlier today. The prediction markets, boy, I mean, this has really been the story of the year. Earlier in the show, we told folks that Crypto.com is going to be joining Kalshi in this lawsuit against Maryland. Maryland doesn't want to let prediction markets operate, these sort of non-sports betting entities. And now we have another story here where the roundtable has been canceled here. I mean, look, this is there's got to be some sort of regulation, I would think, nationwide with these prediction markets, but it's just like sports betting. It's like state by state, make the decision and move forward.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about prediction markets and beyond that, the craziness of the unregulated space you just mentioned, where you have these companies like Kalshi partnering with Robinhood, Crypto.com, just kind of deciding one day that, hey, we want to offer a sports product. We're going to hire all these people who used to work in sports betting. We're going to use some of the same engines that some sports betting platforms use, but we're going to make a lot of money on it because we're not going to call it sports betting. We're going to call it trading, and we're going to say we're regulated by the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission. So once that happened in January with the Super Bowl, there was huge blowback. Everyone was like, okay, where's the regulation going to come from? You just mentioned multiple states have sent cease and desists and sued, and really waiting on the CFTC, the new regime, to weigh in here and, say, yes, we can regulate these. These are not sports betting, or no, you actually have to get licensed in the States. And they were meant to address this issue in this roundtable. They're actually supposed to host in March, which was going to have input from stakeholders, from actual gaming companies, from these prediction markets, tribes who are concerned about their gaming rights. Major League Baseball and the NBA have weighed in saying, hey, these have no gambling protections and it's essentially gambling. But that roundtable was pushed back to April. And then this week it was canceled indefinitely with really no explanation from the CFTC, which just creates even more uncertainty over an already really uncertain space. And it's a big win for these companies, which meanwhile continue to just ramp up the action. I mean, Kalshi did $500 million on March Madness, which is about 16% of what the entire legal sports betting market was projected to take. Over the weekend, 78% of all trades on Kalshi and Robinhood were essentially sports bets. These are businesses that have made their bones doing prediction markets on the election, on the weather, Oscar winners, and people are now looking at them as actual sports betting platforms. These companies are going to only invest more and more while the silence continues. We'll see if the CFTC will be waiting if they do or say anything. Meanwhile, you have these lawsuits in a bunch of states, which so far have gone in their favor, with a lot of judges ruling, hey, we need the CFTC to weigh in here before we really can enforce a state kind of enforcing an action against a group that says it's federally regulated. So that's another win for them. They're going to keep operating until the CFTC really does something. And it has a lot of ties to the current administration of these companies. So you have to wonder, if something comes, will it be good news for the sports betting industry?
Yeah, and certainly the sports betting industry wants to fight these companies from operating, and I think it's just a much bigger discussion that's going to progress over the course of the year. Now, this one caught me by surprise here, given the inroads that Bet365 has made over the last couple of years, Sam, in the United States. Is there a possibility that Bet365 is ready to sell their company? I did not see this coming.
Yeah, just briefly on that last story, I think the sports books want to make sure that everyone is playing by the same rules. So if these companies can do it, they want to do it too. They want to be in 50 states that they don't have to pay for licenses. But speaking of sports books, like you mentioned, Bet365, yeah, one of the world's largest gaming companies, is a surprise to me as well, reportedly considering a sale. The Guardian reported it yesterday that the Coates family is in talks to either sell the entire global business of Bet365 or just certain parts of it. And that's, the monumental online sports book that was founded by Denise Coates in a porta cabin years ago. So it would be a huge come up for her. Reportedly, the sale is going to be around $12 billion, and she would make about $5 billion of that because she owns 58% stake. So yeah, this is one of the biggest companies in the world. It's kind of interesting. They really haven't we're not as aware of them in the US because they really haven't ramped up stuff. They're licensed in, I think, only about 13 states, and they only have 3% of the market share. So a lot of people have been kind of looking at this company for a long time as sort of a sleeping giant because, they have the technology that we've talked about being key for sports books, just becoming good businesses and acquiring and keeping customers on the platform. They've demonstrated that across the world. They certainly have a lot of money that privately owned, so they don't have to adhere to a lot of the constraints that a lot of other sports books do. That could change if it's sold. It could be listed in the U.S. They're reportedly talking with private equity firms and banks, so we'll see what happens there. But it'd be really interesting to see who ends up buying it and what they do with it, especially in the U.S., considering they do have licenses in a lot of states, but really haven't ramped up their actual operations beyond the run-of-the-mill default sports, sign up $5 to, bet $200 promo. There's a lot they can do that they kind of have been waiting on the sidelines. And you have to wonder, maybe they didn't want to ramp up U.S., business because they knew this sale was coming. So yeah, really fascinating story, and would be one of the biggest sales in gaming in a long, long time.
All right, finally, Sam, let's close it out. I know the year in sports betting went on the side of the books. We don't love to say that, but that's the reality of the situation. So I'm going to guess that, the public, excuse me, totally backwards there. The public ended up winning all the money. Not
it's so unusual it's so unusual.
Yeah, well, usually the sports books are building another hotel these days. So let me recant. The football season went in favor of the public. March Madness went in favor of the public. So when Caesars put their numbers out, how did they look?
Yeah, everyone was expecting another bad quarter, and that was kind of the vibes around the investment community. March Madness, all the favorites won. NFL, historically bad, but Caesars actually did pretty well. They just reported their their first quarter earnings yesterday, and they pulled in $43 million of profit in their digital segment, compared to just $5 million in the same quarter last year. So that's almost 5 times as much, despite the awful quarter of March Madness. So the obvious question is, how did they do that? It seems that they, as well as other companies, kind of knew that they had to do something to fight this unlucky streak and stop investors from being spooked about what they usually call one-time headwinds that kept happening. And the answer is always, Craig, you drive people to more parlays, these higher margin bets, which people love to bet. Parlays as a percentage of all bets were up about 3% from last year. Which goes into everything Caesars has done with the promos, and you see it at every sports book now. There's no longer, the free bets on a single bet are very minimal compared to parlays. So that helped drive hold up from 6.7% to about 7.5%. That's the win margin that the sports book takes. And even though betting volume was actually down a little bit year over year, it kind of shows that Caesars, they figured out a way to make more out of less. And I think the investment community is going to be really encouraged. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see similar results for DraftKings and FanDuel, BetMGM, and everyone else when they report their earnings. But again, kind of a surprise after the very, very chalky March Madness, and an encouraging sign for the sports books, especially Caesars, which is actually doing pretty well right now in their digital segment, when we expected everything to be a disaster. So it's a fascinating one.
Did you pick a horse for the Derby, Sam? Last time we talked, I thought you may think of one. Did you officially pick one yet, or no?
I did. I'm on Sandman. I never had a horse coming out of 17 win before, but I really, really like the jockey. I really like the position around the other horses. And I'm also a big fan of journalism because, for obvious reasons. So those are the two horses I'm rooting for, Craig.
All right. Sam, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good one, Craig.
All right. Sam McQuillan with us from Legal Sports Report joining us here on the show. All right. Quick update on the PGA Tour. Byron Nelson Classic going on right now. Scotty Scheffler right now in first place here on day 2 of the Classic. He is 12 under par. So not a big surprise. He was the favorite to win the tournament. All right. Brad Thomas is up next from NBC Sports Bet. Has some positions on the games in the NBA tonight and tomorrow. I'll tell you who next.
Think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum, and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mock 1 in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. Over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Will we have 2 Game 7s in the West? We know we have one. Maybe we'll get a second. Let's check in with Brad Thomas of NBC Sports Bet to see if he believes there's a chance that the Rockets are still alive in their best of 7 series. Brad, it's great to have you back here on NewsWire here. Certainly the Rockets were the better team in the regular season, but once the Jimmy Butler trade happened, the Warriors all of a sudden became not only favorites to make the playoffs, but maybe even among the top 2 or 3 teams to win the West. Let's take a look at the live odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. The Warriors are 5.5-point favorites. The total is 2 or 4.5. Brad, we are interested in the sports betting aspect more than anything else. So 2 questions here. Number 1, can Houston cover? Number 2, plus 198 on the money line. Can Houston get this to a game 7? What do you think?
No, I don't think Houston's going to win, nor do I think they're going to cover. I actually think we're going to see this line go through the 5s and get to the 6s. I was a little bit earlier on the price, and I thought it was a fantastic price. I probably wouldn't go all the way up to the 6s because ultimately the Warriors know they just need to win, and margin's not that important. Let's just think about the last game these two teams played. In Houston, a fight off elimination game, and the Rockets did everything that they needed to. They came out hot and they shut down the two pivotal, important, most crucial players probably in the Western Conference, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. This is easily the most top heavy team in the Western Conference. And when both those players started kind of slow and the team wasn't really clicking, Steve Kerr pulled the rug and said, you know what, I'm going to sit my guys and we're going to focus on closing this game out in game, what is that, game 5. I was a little concerned because sometimes it's kind of hard to turn it back on. It's kind of hard to flip that switch and say, we're going to be dominant once again. But there was some promise and some fight shown from the bench, the second unit. Trace Jackson Davis even got in a little scuffle. Those little small things, they might seem minute, but in the grand scheme of team continuity and bringing some kind of momentum into a game, even after you just got beat by over 15 points, you take those small victories. You take your bench coming back and making it a game and showing that the second unit can get it done, because those bench minutes are going to be crucial, especially in this game. I have them covering the spread. I think they win the game. It's just really hard to replicate that kind of offensive success if you're the Rockets against one of the best defensive teams in the NBA on the road.
And Brad, you like one prop in this game surrounding Jimmy Butler. What is it?
Yeah, I'm taking Jimmy Butler over 26.5 points and assists. Now, this number is probably one of the hardest to project from the sports books from what I've seen, because I've seen it anywhere at 26.5, and I've seen some shops have it at 28.5. Jimmy Butler has gone over this number in 2 of the 4 games that they've played. And it's no surprise, right? Playoff Jimmy. Let's go back to game 1. It was a low scoring game in total, right? Yet Jimmy Butler still scored 25 points and had 6 assists in that game. And then in game 3, 27 points. And this is coming off a loss. 27 points, 6 assists. And in that game, if you remember correctly, Dylan Brooks was kind of poking the bear. Jimmy Butler was not having a fantastic game. Dylan Brooks had that moment with Jimmy Butler, and he just came and turned the gas on. Jimmy Butler's one of those really scary basketball players where if you poke the bear or your back's against the wall, he is going to do everything in his power to will his team to a victory. I don't care. He's only averaging about 8.5 potential assists per game in this playoffs. It's the points that really matter. But if he has one of those games where he's a key distributor, or if the Rockets kind of try to take him out of the game as well, I think that the assists help out if you fall short of the points market.
All right. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets are headed to a game 7. I thought the Clippers were the team to beat in this series, but what I'm seeing, Brad, is the line. Okay. And the Clippers on the road at Denver were 2.5, then 2, then 1.5. And I'm talking about earlier games, by the way, in the series. Now, all of a sudden, the odds makers are telling us coin flip this game. LA -1 on the road at Denver. They're going to need a Herculean game from Nikola Jokic, but sometimes when it's only Jokic, Denver still does not win. But the future of the Nuggets is kind of on the line here tonight with everything that they went through just before the playoffs. Do you have a position in this one?
I have a future, I have a player prop, but I want to talk about the game for a second here. And it just kind of like popped in my head of how tough of a situation this is for the Clippers. We talked about this a little bit on NBC Sports this morning, where the Clippers are in a tough situation because they played a lot of really meaningful, tough basketball leading into the playoffs, right? Fighting for playoff position, fighting for their playoff stake where they didn't have to be in the play-in game. And now they're playing in a 7-game series going into Denver, a Denver team that's 26-15 at home this season, up at altitude with a squad that is more on the elderly side. It's a really tough situation, right? When you want to be peaking at the right time in any playoff scenario, regardless of the sport, but they are logging a lot of minutes on players who are kind of getting up there in age, especially with injury concerns. And the Denver Nuggets, you know, they're getting key contributions from guys I really didn't expect. Let's talk about Russell Westbrook first, right? His usage rate has been absolutely insane. Yes, we're watching him botch open layups, but he's been a very pivotal member of this team, especially with that kind of notion that he wasn't a great acquisition, but he's been the guy, even more than just the emotional leader, but he's been a key contributor. Aaron Gordon has been very phenomenal. We knew he was going to be there on the defensive end, but offensively, he's stepping up as well. And the most important piece, everyone's going to say it's Nikola Jokic. Yes, best basketball player in the world. It's Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is filling the bucket up. 2 games will go, 40-point game. If he's scoring and he's out there having fun and contributing, it becomes dangerous, right? I think the Nuggets win this game, and it's unfortunate for the Clippers because they were playing really good basketball.
Yeah, definitely so. Brad, real quick, this is some breaking news from the NBA. I'm learning it just as you are here, is that Greg Popovich's time as head coach of the Spurs has come to an end. He's going to transition, according to ESPN, to team president. I guess this shouldn't come as a surprise, but what the end of an incredible era for one of the best coaches of all time.
Yeah, wow, crazy news. And initial reaction, he deserves all the flowers that he gets, you know, getting long in the tooth and go do something where it's less stressed on the body than the brain, and ride out the rest of your basketball career having fun.
Yeah, Brad, thanks for that, and have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
We'll be right back.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
You know, Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. You know, they've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
As I just mentioned a few minutes ago, some breaking news from the NBA. ESPN reports that 5-time NBA champion Greg Popovich is stepping down in his role as head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He will remain president of basketball operations and be a vital member of it. We'll see what the Spurs end up doing as far as a head coach is concerned. You know, certainly there's a lot of coaches recently fired that they could choose from, as the Spurs certainly not quite, I would say, in a rebuild anymore. They'd like to have Wemby healthy and, you know, a good draft pick, maybe a big lottery pick on Monday, but a great career for Greg Popovich, who, arguably one of the best NBA coaches of all time. All right, we'll end the show with a little NBA, some pickleball, as well as a pretty solid move and a savvy move from an NFL player. Time now for some last licks. All right, the big mistake by Tyrese Halliburton's dad, John Halliburton, has cost him the opportunity to watch his son play for the remainder of the NBA playoffs in person. Yikes. What a bad move. He's going to be hating this if Indiana moves on. For those of you who missed it, John Halliburton, the dad of Tyrese Halliburton, went on the court and after the game started razzing Giannis. And we were trying to figure out if something had happened previously. I think earlier in the week I was like, this couldn't possibly happen without Giannis saying something to him. Apparently not. And this was a decision made specifically by the Pacers front office. Halliburton says he understands. What else is he going to say? This could get worse if he started to argue. So we'll see you, Dad Halliburton, I guess, next year. Although you can watch the games. Can he watch the games somewhere else, by the way, in the stadium? Has that been made clear at all? No? Can't go to the game. Can't even go to the games. Oof, that's a tough pill to swallow. All right, let's get to Andre Agassi. Remember Andre Agassi, one of the best tennis players of all time? Remember him? Well, unfortunately, he's made his debut as in pickleball and is 0-1 thus far. He played with one of the top women in the world, and in a doubles match, he ended up losing. But boy, I mean, Agassi, really has a space in my heart. Back when I used to watch tennis all the time, some incredible matches with him and Pete Sampras, and Jim Courier, and many others. But it's great to have Agassi back in the news. Once upon a time, one of the most popular tennis players, if not the most popular tennis player of the 90s. And pickleball, by the way, I watch it all the time. I've played it a couple of times. This is a really fun but very difficult sport if you're playing against people that know what they're doing. So I guess back to the drawing board a little bit for Andre Agassi. Meanwhile, Tyler Lockett left Seattle and has a new destination. He is now a member of the Tennessee Titans. And in fact, Lockett met with the media at a press conference and decided it would be best to shake all the hands of the media upon entering. And interestingly enough, Lockett was asked about his relationship with the media and why he chose to do that.
I feel like, y'all are just as much as family as everybody that's going to be teammates, right? Like, so you got to get to know the coaches, get to know the media. You guys are going to be the ones writing stories about us, whether it's good or bad. And who knows, sometimes doing that handshake, you might be a little bit more lenient with the yeah, but I mean, either way, it's great to meet y'all. Obviously, I'm going to learn new names, learn new faces, but excited just to be able to do some media with y'all.
All right, so here is the question. As somebody who has been sitting in the room, in the media, for decades and decades, that like Tyler Lockett is referring to, somebody like me, and by the way, no disrespect to any of my co-hosts or people here at SportsGrid, but I definitely have been one of those people in the media for all of those years. I can speak to this. So here is the big question. Is Tyler Lockett right? If he goes into a room and shakes all the hands of the media and he is very nice to them, is that going to prevent the media from writing a negative article about him or maybe being softer on him because he did it? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Very good move by Tyler Lockett. It's human nature to treat people nicely and return favors that have been made to you. I'm sorry to say. Ethical or not, I've been in that position before. When you're treated nice, you tend to treat people nice back. This is just a fact. So good move by Tyler Lockett. That'll do it for the show today. Thanks to our guests for coming on the show. Thanks to, of course, Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. Thanks to Brad Thomas as well for coming on and talking some NBA with us. Don't forget Daily Racing Forum coming your way tomorrow morning with Gino Bacola. He will be here on the show. Thanks to Luke and to Frank. I'm Craig Mish. So I won't see you tomorrow morning for Fantasy Sports Today because we're doing Kentucky Derby coverage. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you back here Monday for our next edition of NewsWire at 11 a.m. Eastern, exclusively here on SportsGrid. Have a great weekend.